Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it's time for another episode of Dadbod to Daddy training. I'm surprised I had a really good workout today. Things actually felt pretty good, felt decently strong. Didn't go real high on volume. I stopped at just 13 total work sets for the day. I was up late last night with a very upset stomach. So again, worried I might be dehydrated, but went ahead and got plenty of water and electrolytes in. Came in and trained and really didn't notice a serious negative impact on my training. So pretty happy about that. But I didn't go crazy hard on all the bicep accessories. I decided to just train really hard, not try to do a lot of volume. So to make sure I kept the reps from getting too low, I did chins with just a 45. I managed to get sets of 8 on all of these. Again, the 8th rep was extremely hard. There were no reps in reserve, so again, even struggled to get to the top at all on the 8th rep each time. Kind of doing the hangs near the end just as it starts getting more difficult. And again, I had someone point out to me, a longtime follower, who's like, looking at your stuff, I honestly don't think that your shoulders are the issue. I think it's that previous torn bicep you had because you can't really lock your elbows. Because you can see it on curls, you can see it on benching. They noted it in powerlifting meets. So I don't know that I really do have a shoulder issue. It's that for overhead work because my biceps will not, my elbows don't lock the same way normal people do. That could be limiting, some of my range of motion. And I think that's probably what it is because if you notice there, that's a dead hang on those last reps. Sometimes go into a hang. But it is what it is. We work around all these things that change over time as we get older. Just something you need to be aware of when you become a master's lifter. Because again, I'm 47 at this point. So I did my sets of that. Then I went ahead and did my supine grip rows. I decided again not try to go super heavy on these so that we could get at least 10 reps. I was hoping I could get more than 10. But the fatigue just kind of accumulated on these after the chin. So I managed to squeeze out 10 reps. On each of these, and of course it started getting hard to hold onto the bar. So noticing grip strength feels a little dicey today, but it didn't ever slip out of my grip. So again, the grip strength can also be as the weight's starting to get heavy. Again, I'm having to take longer pauses near the end. It's taking a little more time to complete reps. So grip is going to get worked really hard there anyways. It didn't feel like a complete limiting factor. Of course, I felt my lats and my biceps reach fatigue. So again, just making a note though that it felt hard to grip, but everything's been feeling a little bit harder to grip lately, in spite of all the grip work. So I do have to think about, maybe my forearms just tend to be fatigued because I do the hanging leg raises every single workout from a dead hang. So my grip is getting worked a lot, and my grip is also tired day to day, and it probably only recovers on the weekend. Because I've definitely noticed by the time Monday gets around, that grip feels nice and solid again when I do the hanging leg raises. So again, just making notes here as far as these things go. But underhand grip stuff for me is always harder to grip. All the supine grip movements, they feel like they're harder to grip. And what's also interesting, I get a pump in the whole forearm. So I feel like sometimes the pronated grip stuff doesn't actually work my forearms or radiobrachialis or any of that any harder because those things get just as much of a pump and burn when I do underhand grip. So again, just making a note for the documentation in the vlog. Up next, I did barbell curls. I took these a hair lighter again because I got up to where I did a little lower reps. So let's take it back down to 75 because for the really strict full range of motion curls, this weight feels really good. Right, it feels good. I get a nice good pump and burn. When I go a little bit heavier, I definitely feel a little more strained, but I'm not quite getting that pump, that same pump. So I do feel like I need to be around that 10 plus rep mark to get that pump on these. So again, this weight puts me there. These were pretty well limit sets. They were to failure because the last one, when it gets hard, I try to slow it down just a little bit on the eccentric, and then I get stuck at the bottom and it doesn't come up. So I marked it as 10 in the documents, but it was something like 11, 10, 9, right in that range. I'm not trying to keep super strict count, mainly because I'm taking these till failure and I'm trying to really focus on squeezing and feeling the biceps a lot. So I don't always keep a perfect rep count in my head when I do that because I'm focusing a little bit more on the actual performance and feeling the muscle. And I feel like, again, my biceps have actually been coming along decently now because I'm doing a lot of that. And it's the same thing with the supine grip work. Because my lats are arguably my biggest muscle group, maybe lats and calves, I can do all the supine grip work and make sure that my biceps, I really double down on the bicep training. Because again, I could always use more arm development. I'm someone who's tend to have lagging arms historically relative to the rest of my physique. And then all the years of strength training and not taking curls seriously and stuff didn't help. So again, been rectifying that lately. And like I said, I feel like the arms are definitely coming along. They're not where I want them yet, but they've been coming along nicely. So if I can continue to just add a little bit of arm as I get leaner, shave another 2 or 3 inches off my waistline, tighten that up and add muscle to the arms, that will change my look quite a bit also. So again, trying to just keep slowly working down the body fat. Preacher curls, these felt really good today. So on these, I did the same thing. I pretty much took them to failure. And here's what I decided to do. I'm like, since I'm only going to do 6 sets of direct curls, now granted, it's 12 sets for biceps. No one's going to argue that weighted chins and underhand grip rows are not a bicep exercise. No reasonable person. But as far as the isolation movements, I only did 6. I tried to strain as hard as I could on these preacher curls, right? So those last reps, I'm trying to grind through a rep. Trying to grind through a rep and get it to the top and squeeze it and then hold the eccentric each time. And I got around 8. It might have been like 8, 7, and 8. But the last set, I definitely said, okay, let's take it all the way. So again, let's just, instead of trying to do more volume right now, particularly after a rough night, maybe a little concerned with recovery, let's see if I can just train harder, right? Always gonna, if it comes down to it, I tend to believe that intensity trumps volume. Again, when I balance all the evidence that I've seen, I tend to lean in that direction, and I'm not saying, we shouldn't be doing a fair amount of volume, but I think for most people who don't have optimal lifestyles, something around 10 sets is a good starting point. If they're very, very hard sets, literally every human being on earth can grow from 10 hard sets. I don't care what's going on in your life or with your training. And it's oftentimes easier to recover from than trying to do 15 or 20. So in this case, it ended up being, really 12 sets for biceps if we count the big movements too. So I feel this is still kind of in that sweet spot range, but again, biceps getting a little bit of a priority. But also keep in mind with my lats, I do pullovers on chest day, and then I do deadlifts on posterior chain day. So my lats and back are technically getting more than just these 6 sets. But again, so what I decided to do today, let's make the entire session really hard. Let's go super hard and just get in and out and get it done so I can get recovered. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.